Ashley and I were a little surprised that any parent would allow their 17-year-old daughter to live with a 20-year-old drug dealer. I mean, she was still in high school at the time. And so she leaves the house while she's 17 to live with her older boyfriend who's a drug dealer. Is that something that struck you as unusual?
Her parents were buying her alcohol, they were giving her money for drugs, anything they could do to keep her from escalating. Like the police had been there because of her tantrums when she was a sophomore in high school. Her tantrums were so extreme. She'd break stuff. I'm going to kill myself. Like she was so out of control, so reckless, so intense that I think her family just learned, like, give her whatever she wants, try to keep the peace. And they saw Dom as, like he loved her. He really did try to take care of her. I don't think anybody understood the ins and outs of that relationship, but I'm sure the family was also just happy to not have her in their crosshairs day in and day out, right? To have her with somebody they trusted and, didn't have to, didn't have to be worrying about her night and day. Having said that, though, I'm not so sure she was living there. So I know we've heard that, but based on the language, it seems like she had stayed there quite a bit, but that whether she was actually living there at the time is, she wasn't actually technically living there. That's how I would say it.
Interesting. So she's had prison girlfriends and things like that. And she's told different inmates different things. She's told some that the crash happened because she was high on mushrooms. And then she told Cheyenne, her ex, that it was because of POTS. And we saw in the documentary her mom saying it was because of POTS, this nervous system disorder that causes dizziness, fatigue, things like that. And apparently she was diagnosed with that. Do you think she really believes that it was about POTS, or do you think she even knows what she's talking about at this point?
Mackenzie?
Yeah.
No, Mackenzie knows exactly. Mackenzie knows what happened.
You think she's trying to create this narrative though with POTS, like that she 100%. Knows it's a lie? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in the very first moments, they have this gypsy language that her and her mom will speak, right? And the very first moments after the police show up to talk to her, and they're speaking in this gypsy language, and she says, "Can I just tell them I had a seizure?" So that was from the jump what the plan was, and they took it and ran with it. The way that amnesia works, it's not unusual to have amnesia from a crash, but you don't get amnesia in such a way where you remember everything up through to the turn and then everything immediately following the accident, but not the 4 seconds between the turn and hitting the wall, right? I mean, it's silliness is what it is.
Yeah. What do you think about that use of gibberish? What's wrong with this family? I mean, and has the family had any accountability, repercussion, responsibility? I mean, have they been in any trouble for being just delinquent parents here? I mean, what's going on with these folks?
I think it's surprising to them. Mom is interesting. She's a fascinating character. Sometimes she just says things to Mackenzie to try to appease her that she doesn't believe. And again, this is from listening to hours and hours of their jail calls. Other times, she does seem to feed into the narrative that, it's not her fault. I mean, they still blame the accident, to be very clear, on the Russo family. It's all them. They own the judicial system. They were somehow secretly related to the judge. It's all a big conspiracy. Oh. I mean, this is the narrative that mom is sort of feeding Mackenzie. So, this is that I think mom is a little delusional herself, is really hoping that she can start like a free Mackenzie movement. I don't think they have anybody telling them the truth, frankly.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. And there's, some of the jail calls have actually been released. I know we've got one we can play in a minute, SOT9, but it's between Mackenzie and her mom, and they were recorded, and it's kind of disturbing. If we could play SOT9, and then I'm really curious, how you think that fits into all of this.
Mm-hmm. So wait, it's all over the world now that Today Show is like national news?
Okay. I got to tell you one more thing.
What?
It was published in England.
What?
Yes.
It's world news?
I think the Daily Mail just publishes it in all their publications, but yeah, the UK.
It's on the Daily Mail?
In UK.
Maybe Kim Kardashian will reach out herself.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping.
I would understand if they gave me like a normal charge, but like the charges that they gave me are like literally insane. Like it's not. They're trying to make it seem something that it's not. Like it's not. Like I didn't do this on purpose. Like I got in a car accident. I'm a third victim. Like.
Oh, oh, that's so painful to hear that for the families who have to endure that. And I felt bad. I know I talk about Dom being a drug dealer, but no one deserves that fate. That was just awful. And his parents seemed like good people, unlike the Shirillas. His father and the sister seemed like good people. And most of it that I thought were Davion's father, his parents. His father was so compelling, and his sister, unbelievable. Um, do you think that all this, the fact that we're so outraged on the outside by who she is and how with the lack of remorse she has, do you think that that's going to prevent her from getting parole in 15 years?
I think it depends on what happens along the way, right? I mean, the thing about this type of mental health problem is that she could get better. I mean, if she had one strong positive influence in her life, she could get better. The challenge is that mom, from what I can tell in these jail calls, really prevents her from ever changing or shifting the narrative. Like they are just totally focused on trying to get her out. They're trying to get her out of prison.
Yeah, not trying to get her through it or have her learn. I want to talk about that in the time we got left. We have a few minutes left, but apparently this, and we're not calling, Dom names or anything like that. We're certainly not trying to disparage, but I think it's relevant to the facts of the case and to their relationship. It appears that Dom always had Mackenzie actually hold her drugs when she was a minor. We've got a SOT on that, SOT 11, and then I want to talk to you about some of the other things that sort of go along with that.
Yeah, like the only charge that like I think that like I shouldn't even be charged with it though, like, cause it was Dom. But like I understand I have to take that fucking bullshit, the fucking drugs.
Oh, yep.
That's irritating
And
as
he
fuck.
should have known better too, and that makes me mad. I'm mad at him for that. Telling you that you can't get in trouble, so just to hold everything.
He always told me that. He always had me hold everything.
I know. That's because you were a minor.
So yeah, there's multiple texts also that have surfaced that apparently her parents, Mackenzie's parents, were well aware, and they weren't apparently concerned with this drug use, her alcohol use. I mean, if you looked at her social media, you could see it. So she's 17, she's living with an adult male. And if we do the math right, when they started dating, because they'd been dating for 4 years, she would have been 13 and he would have been 16. So how do you think that situation was allowed to develop with the Shirillas knowing that their minor daughter was engaged in all these activities? I mean, dangerous activities with apparently no pushback at all. This is insane to me. I mean, how do you think that factored into all of this, everything that's happened?
When they tried, so for example, there was an incident where they tried to ground Mackenzie when she was a sophomore, and the police wound up at their house because she was breaking things and screaming, and you can't do this to me. I mean, just a complete, tantrum. You add suicidal threats, that ends any debate pretty fast. They just wanted to try to get her through it. To try to appease her. You can even hear it in these calls with mom. As soon as Mackenzie escalates, she tries to say anything she can to like bring her, she calls it anxiety. Mom calls her tantrums anxiety down a notch. And so what do you do in that situation? As a professional, those are moments that you don't feed that. I mean, you don't appease it because that's what will cause it to get reinforced and then grow. But they didn't get help. And I think she was just really, truly out of control. I mean, she was really a monster. And I hate to say that, right? As a mental health professional, especially, I don't like using that language, but she was really out of control, fighting with neighbors, with teachers, with other students, just a maniac.